welcome to a new episode of the Bobbles Berries Podcast. If you're new here, my name is Ode and I'm coming to you from Edinburgh in Scotland. I have a regular podcast episode today, a few finished objects, a bit of sewing actually, which I don't often have, some whips, which are really the same as last time with a bit of progress, but I haven't finished them, and some acquisitions. I went to the Woolly Good Gathering in between now and my last episode, and I got some yarn there, so I will share that with you. And then, as always, at the end, I will talk a little bit about what I have been reading. So yeah, let's get started. Just before we do, one small bit of admin. I have released a new set of stitch markers in my shop in the past week or so. It's called Blooms and Buzz. I will put a picture here. It's just a little bee with some flowers, which is really cute. It's actually a set that I designed last year for Nellie and Eve, who's a wool producer and a yarn dyer based in Wales. And now I'm just releasing in my shop, which is quite exciting. And as of me publishing this video, the shop will be fully stocked. So if you've been wanting to get stitch markers, or if you want to have a look, you should find anything you need in the shop. So yes, that's it. That's it for the admin bit. I'm going to start with what I'm wearing, which is my Levi pullover. I don't know if I've ever worn it on the podcast. This is a pattern by Sari Nordlund. I think I knit it this last year, and I think I must have finished it about a year ago, because I remember finishing it and then it got a bit too warm and I didn't really wear it until the winter. But ever since, this past winter, I've been wearing it a lot. I really like it because it's really, really warm. And I like that it has a turtleneck, because it means that if I just go for a quick walk, I don't really have to wear like a scarf, especially now. Like, I know it's May, and I'm wearing a turtleneck, but we're in Scotland, and we've had a really, really nice spring so far, like a lot of sun and not a ton of rain. It's still a bit chilly, so I'm still wearing it. And I like it. I like it a lot. I think my gauge was a bit off, which means the yoke is a bit deeper than it's supposed to be, but I really don't mind it. It's very comfortable. The yarn that I used, I think, was Filcolana Peruvian Highland wool for the beige and the brown, and then the green was Peer Gynt, but they don't feel the same. Peruvian Highland wool is quite soft. Peer Gynt is not as soft, but other than that, they're pretty much interchangeable. So I was able to combine them in a color work and be just fine. And yeah, so that's what I'm wearing. Moving on, I think I'm going to talk about my whips first, and then I will talk about my finished objects, because all of my finished objects are baby gifts, like baby knits that I'm gifting to friends who have just had a baby, or her baby's due in like a couple of weeks. So, and I know that baby knits is not everyone's cup of tea. So I thought I would start with my works in progress, also because they're big garments for me, like really nice, exciting knits that I'm really excited to talk to you about. So I'm going to do that first. Right, let's get started. So I'm going to start with my most exciting project at the moment, but also the most time consuming and the one that requires the most brain power, which I like. It has its place. I'm not working on it every day because I don't have the brain power every day, but I'm really enjoying it when I'm working on it. And this is my Dagmar Zipper Sweater by Petite Knit. And yes, there's a million needles hanging everywhere. And that's because of me and the order in which I choose to do things. You don't have to, the pattern doesn't tell you to have 5 million needles on your project. So yeah, this is what mine looks like. So let me have a quick look at my notes, and then I can tell you all about it. So last week, I think I was finishing the second front. So it looks complicated because of the cable, but it's not. It's really not. It is a basic drop shoulder construction. So you start with the back, and then you pick up stitches and do the 2 fronts, which you join up down here, which is where you're going to have the zipper afterwards. And then you join under the arm here, and then you just knit in around. So in terms of construction, it's not difficult at all. So yeah, I think the last time I'd done the back, one front, and I was maybe working on the other front. I don't really remember, but I've since joined everything, and the body is not finished, but because I reached the end of a ball of yarn, I stopped working on the body and then picked up for the collar. And then I'll get back to the body afterwards. But yeah. So like I was saying, so this is, actually, I didn't say that. This is a body knit that I am doing with Michaela of Stitches in STEM podcast, which is a wonderful podcast. And I'm going to link it down below so you can go and watch it because it's really nice. And she is using the yarn recommended by the pattern in like a super dark charcoal that it looks almost black, which is really, really cool because I guess the cables don't come out as much as if you were using a paler yarn, but it has such a nice, beautiful effect. Like it's wonderful. I love it. And so yeah, so we're sort of knitting it together, meaning that we're knitting it and then messaging on Instagram all the time about like everything regarding this project. So I'm doing the size small. I believe Michaela is also doing the size small, which is like petite knit pattern recommendation. That's usually the size I do in petite knit patterns. It does require a lot of attention, like I said, because it's not a difficult pattern again, but it has a lot of cables, and especially at the start when you cast on the back, you have to do increases along the shoulder seam here, and that takes quite a bit of brain power because you have charts for the diamonds, you have a chart for the honeycomb cable, and then you have your increases, and yeah, so you just have to pay attention. Again, not difficult, just you have to pay attention. So you have to have the brain power to work on this project at this time. But if you do, that's a really nice, enjoyable project. My gauge is fine, mostly, I think. Do you think my gauge is fine after that? No, I think my gauge is mostly fine. I swatched the pattern gives you gauge numbers for the honeycomb and then for the seed stitch on the side. I was a bit lazy, so I just gauge swatched for the seed stitch. I got gauge, so everything else kind of has to work now because I'm not going to change needle like through the middle of the row, so anyway. Even if it's a little bit off, this pattern is super oversized, so I really am not worried. And also it's cable, it moves quite a bit with blocking and everything. So yeah, I'm not worried, but I think it's mostly fine. At least my stitch gauges, my row gauge is always different, but that's all right. I have gone down half a needle size, which is a bit unusual for me. Usually my gauge is pretty close to that of petite knit, and I just knit in whatever needles she uses. But in this case, I had to go down half it from like 4.5 that's recommended to a 4. But again, it's fine. Also because my yarn is a bit thinner than what petite knit uses, so that's probably what is happening there as well. But it's working just fine. So yeah. The yarn. Speaking of the yarn, so this is the yarn that I am using. Oh, a little bit of fluff. This, I'm knitting it in Studio Donegal, Soft Donegal, and this is the ball band. This is the yarn. It's a really nice, I think it's 100% merino. Yeah, 100% merino, and then it has some tweedy flex thingy. It's really, really nice. I bought 6 of these some years ago at This Is Knit in Dublin, Ireland, the yarn store there, and with another project in mind, which I never did. And then by the time I don't know, I just kind of, my tastes changed and I didn't want to do this project again anymore. And so I thought this would be the perfect yarn for the Dagmar, but I needed another 3 skeins. It's 900 grams of yarn for my size, so it's quite, it's a lot of yarn, it's quite heavy. But which is what I love about it, but kind of have to know that it's a lot of yarn. So I managed to find more of this yarn from a UK-based shop, so I didn't have to order from abroad. And obviously it's a different dye lot because it was ordered like 3 years apart. But I can't tell the difference. Even so, I know which, I've labeled my little like yarn labels to make sure I know which yarn is which dye lot, so that I can, what I'm doing right now is that I'm knitting as much as I can in the first batch that I have 6 skeins of. And then the more recent yarn that I bought, I'm saving for the collar and the cuffs and the hem. And then I'll probably need some of that to like finish the sleeves or finish the body. And then I'm just planning on fading them like over maybe like 10 rows or something. I'm not going to alternate the whole thing because there's enough to do and to pay attention to, but just fade them out. But honestly, I can't really tell the difference. And you tell me if you can, because I mean, it's also hard to tell because the texture is so different. So it does make the yarn, it catches the light differently and it does make the yarn look a bit different. But the color is not the same dye lot as the rest right now. So right now, the whole body that I've knitted is one dye lot, and then the color is another one. And I don't know how it shows on camera. I'll see when I edit, but in person, I can't tell the difference. So yeah, but just to be safe, I'm going to alternate if I need to within the same like section, but for the ribbing and everything, I'm fine. Not alternating or anything. What else did I want to say? Okay, so I did a couple of modifications so far. One is that in the pattern, the inside of the diamond here is just reverse stockinette. So it's the same as the here. Yeah. But I decided to do it in seat stitch because I just like the look of it. That's the way I had it on my book club cardigan, and I really like the look of it. So I decided to do this, and I like it. I wasn't really sure when I first started knitting. I wasn't really sure it was going to be super visible, but now that I have knit a bunch more, you can really tell. So yeah, I like that a lot. And then so that was like a fully conscious decision to make that modification. Another modification that wasn't really a conscious decision, but it's going to stay that way, is for the collar. Hold on, I'm all tangled with like cables and things. So it's for the collar. So for the collar, so you have to pick up stitches around the neck, and then you're going to do some ribbing. And then for like the zip, so you do like 2 panels of double knitting along the zip and then along the collar, and then you fold it. So I'm not there yet. But what the pattern has you do is that when you pick up for the collar, I don't know if you can tell that I have like a cable in there. I don't know if it's focusing or not. And that's because, here you can see it in red a bit. And that's because it has you pick up stitches, but then for every stitch that you pick on the collar, you also create a new stitch on another cable with like a yarn over. And that means that you have a row of nice stitches on a cable right now, waiting to be like picked up and knit together when you fold your collar, because it's a folded collar. So I have to do a lot of ribbing right now and just fold it back. And so you could do that in a lot of pattern. You just do that and you sort of like see it in your pickup edge or something, and you just grab your stitches that way, or you just, another pattern, you just like sew it down when you fold your collar. In this case, it has you create like stitches in anticipation of that. And so that's why I have, like right now I have this cable is my stitches on hold that I'm going to use later for when I fold the collar. And then those are that's my cable for what I'm actually knitting on right now. And so, yeah, so is that a faff? Oh my God, yes, it is such a faff to pick up your stitches like this. However, is that going to be good, like useful afterwards? Well, I don't know because I haven't done that part yet, but yes, I think so. I think it's definitely worth it because it's going to make it so much easier to fold your collar and sort of like knit it together and like tack it down nicely. And it is because it's going to make it more easier. It's going to make it quite neat, I think. Or that's what it looks from the picture as well. It's going to make like a really nice, neat row of like where you folded your collar and attached it down, which is quite important in that case because it's not just like a turtleneck like this where you never see the inside, because it has a zip, and if you zip it down it's going to open up. You're going to see the inside of your collar, so you kind of want it to look quite neat. So my guess is that is why we need to do this faffy pickup. But not gonna lie, I'm not going to do this every time. If the pattern requires it, I will do it. If it doesn't, I'm not going to get out of my way to do that. Also, I ended up picking up 91 stitches for the collar, which is about like 15 stitches less than I'm supposed to pick up, so I don't have as many stitches. However, it's so faffy that I'm not doing it again. I'm not starting over to pick up more stitches, and I am not really concerned about it because one, it's a rib, so it's quite stretchy. Two, there's a zipper, so it's like it's not going to strangle me. I can always like zip it down. And I think 91 stitches is more than enough. And also on the pattern, it looks quite, or the way Petite is wearing it, it looks like so oversized that I wouldn't mind it being a little bit closer to my neck, because that means like I like turtlenecks like the ones I'm wearing now because I can just wear my coat and then zip it up and I don't have to wear a scarf. And if the turtleneck is too wide, it's just going to like bunch in my coat. I'm not going to be able to like zip it properly. So I would rather have something a little bit more close fitted, and then I can like zip it down if I need to, than something like super wide where like all the wind and everything goes in anyway, and it kind of defeats the purpose of a turtleneck. So yeah, that was an unplanned modification in that I don't have as many stitches on my collar as the pattern recommends, but I'm okay with that. And honestly, I'm not going to do it again. So yeah. Anyway, there's so much about this pattern, but it's honestly such a fun knit. I really love it. It's especially like when you know it's like it's going to be a very engaged knit and it's going to take a while. If you know that from the start, then it's not like you know what you're getting yourself into kind of, and so you can just enjoy the process as opposed to be like, oh my god, this is taking forever, blah blah blah. You know what I mean? Anyway, other things. I think last time I was talking a bit about how I was confused by how, like, you pick up your fronts from, like, the shoulder seam and you go down, and obviously you are supposed to finish your fronts and your back on the same row, so that when you join in the round, you're on the same row everywhere. And the way I'd measured things, I was just confused because I didn't see how I would possibly have the length that the pattern recommended and how I was going to be able to end up on the right row at that length. And anyway, I just completely confused myself because I measured it from the wrong bit. So yeah, it worked out. Like, obviously, trust Petite Knit and her patterns. She knows what she's doing. And I just confused myself out. Thankfully, Michaela did it, and she was able to explain to me what was going on. So yeah, that's why it's nice to do things with people sometimes, to do like buddy knits and things like that, because, you know, people can tell you, no, you're creating problems for yourself when there aren't any. So yeah. Anyway, so that's where I'm at. I am right now going to, I'm going to finish the collar and the facing for the zipper. And then I think I am going to do the sleeves. And then I'm going to do the rest of the body. I don't think I have a ton left on the body. Like the armholes are quite deep. So by the time that you join in the round, you're actually quite far down on the body already. So I think I may have, let's see if I can show you. My arms are getting tired from just holding it up. I think I may have another diamond left. I need to have a look. The pattern says to either end the body at the end of a diamond or at the halfway point of a diamond. So I think maybe I have about a diamond left, and then I'll do the ribbing. But I want to finish the collar because it's going to like bring things in a bit. And I want to do the sleeves because picking up stitches around the armhole is kind of like tightening things a bit. And then I will have a really good sense of where it's landing on my body and how much longer I want to knit it. I am also planning to block it before, probably like midway through, before ordering the zipper. Just because, I think the pattern says you need to order like a 23 centimeter or something. I'm going to order it directly from Petite Knit, I think. But I think I'm going to block it first just to make sure that, because I'm not 100% sure of my row gauge, I just want to block it and make sure that 23 centimeter zip is what is going to fit, because if not, then I need to order like a longer one. I'm not too concerned about maybe needing a shorter one, because if you order a longer zip, that's fine. You can just like kind of like cut it and it works. You can make a zip shorter, but obviously you can't make a zip longer if you don't have that length. So I just want to block it and make sure to order the right zip for it. You know, it would be a shame to order a zip all the way from Denmark and then it's not the right one. So, so yeah. But yeah, I think that's all I have to say. I have a million, I don't know if you can see, I have like a million stitch markers dangling from the project. They're all my stitch markers. I use pretty much exclusively my stitch marker, if I'm honest, but from all kinds of different sets. But it just makes it easier for me to like divide in sort of like sections of cable. So I have one either side of the honeycomb, one either side of the diamond, and then I have the seat stitch on its own, and then I have my beginning of round. It just makes it easier, and it also helps, like, because the rounds, when you're doing the body, like the round, it takes me, so it's like a four row repeat just for like the honeycomb cable. So like the pattern is like a 4 row repeat, and it takes me almost an hour to do a repeat, like a 4 row repeat, just because there's so many cables. So it's nice to have those stitch markers at different stages, so you know like which, it feels like you're making progress, if you know what I mean. But yeah, I'm really enjoying working on this project. I really am. What did I do? Oh no, never mind. I really am. When I have the brain power for it, I really am enjoying working on it. And especially now I'm on the collar, so it's just ribbing. So it's a little break mentally from the rest. And yeah, and because I don't have a lot left on the body, then I feel like most of the biggest part of the work is done, because the sleeves, although they have cables, they don't have as much. And I don't mind doing sleeves, actually. Like Sleeve Island is never really something that I'm like too mad about. So yeah. So yeah, I think that's all I have to say. And it's good because I'm about to sneeze. Sorry. Yeah, so that's my first work in progress. My second work in progress is my Evina cardigan, which I talked about last time. This is a pattern by Heidi Pettersen. It is, I will say it from the start, it's not the most size inclusive pattern, but it has a ton of positive ease, so there's a bit of wiggle room, even though we prefer size inclusive patterns. This pattern was gifted to me by a lovely viewer, so thank you so much for that. And yeah, I've been working away at it. I haven't made, to be fair, like the past month or so, I've been quite tired, and so I haven't knit a ton, but I have made some progress. And so I'm going to show you what I made. So I'll put a picture here, but basically it's like a raglan construction cardigan, double knit bottom band, and then around the body you have this whole section that's made of crocheted granny squares. You knit it from the bottom up, but you start with the granny square. So you do all your granny square section, which I did, which looks like this. I'd done that the last time as well, so you have seen this already. But this is what it looks like. Oh, let me show you the side that doesn't, let me show you the right side that doesn't have a million ends to weave in. which I haven't done yet, by the way. It's been here for a while. But yeah. So this is basically the body. So you do all your granny squares, you attach them together. This is done with mattress stitch, which I did for the first time on this project, and it was quite fun and it worked just fine. And then you pick up stitches and you do the ribbing. And then your pick up stitches at the top, and then you can move up towards the shoulders and the raglan. But before you do that, you have to do the sleeves. And because it's a bottom up, like I said, you do this each sleeve and then you attach them to the body later. So I have done one sleeve, and this is what it looks like. And yeah, I have it, I'll touch on that provisional cast on in a minute, but this is where I'm at. So I have the crochet bit, the bottom rib, and one sleeve. So now I need to do the other sleeve and then attach everything together to do the yoke, and then I'll do the button band. Before I talk about, I don't think I made really many modifications. But before I talk about that, I will talk about the yarn quickly. So I am using, so the pattern calls for 1 strand of fingering weight and then 2 strands of mohair, and I am doing this. So the fingering weight that I'm using is this. This is woolly knit, 100% British wool in the shade dark apple green. Dark green, oh, I never remember. Dark apple green. I've had it for quite a while, but I think they still sell it. And then the mohair, I'm using 2 strands of this mohair by, let me grab a new ball. This is Isair mohair, silk mohair. That's what it looks like in the shade. I don't think they have names. No, 57, color 57. And yeah, it's very soft. I do like the Isair mohair. I think it's one of the softest one. I think it's a little bit pricier than some of the others, but like not that much. I think the Knitting for Olive is more or less the same price. And I've had this yarn in my stash for quite a long time because I couldn't figure out what to do with it. And I thought it would be great for this project, and I kind of hoped that it would work with the Isair, but I wasn't 100% sure because they're quite different colors. But it actually works really, really well. So I'm quite pleased with that. This is what it looks like in stockinette. And I really like it. I really, really like it. So yeah. So did I make any modifications? Not really on the body. So I just did my granny squares. I've never really done granny squares. I'm not like, I know how to crochet, but I'm not like, I know how to hold the crochet hook basically, but everything else I have to look up every time. So I did my granny squares. I sewed them together. I wove in the ends that are at the center of each square, but I didn't weave the ends that, like the one that you, like that is at the outer extremity, because I thought I would weave those into like actual knitting bit rather than crochet bits, because I figured it would hold better. So I need to weave in a bunch into the ribbing at the bottom, and then this I will do into the yoke. But yeah, so that's not really a modification, that's just how I decide to do things. For the sleeves, however, I'm just going to throw yarn on the floor. For the sleeves, however, so again, you have to do bottom up. So you have to start at the cuff technically and then work your way up. My issue is that my arms are a bit shorter than whatever ratio is used for patterns. And so I always have to shorten my sleeves. The thing is, I don't know by how much I need to shorten my sleeves. And so when I'm doing it bottom up, it's kind of hard to figure it out. So what I decided to do is that instead of starting at the cuff, I started at the sort of the body of the sleeve, if you want, with a provisional cast on. Then I did my sleeve, and then I'm gonna do the same. I'm gonna do the yoke, the button band, and everything, and then at the very end, I'll go back and undo my provisional cast on and then do the cuff. But then I will try it on before so that I know if I need to, maybe I will need to take out a few rows of this just to have the good length. However, I was kind of sort of like putting it on my arm, even though it's not like very accurate. But basically it tells you to knit a bit more before you do your increases for the sleeve. And I didn't do that because it's just like the way it is now. I can't really put it over this, but the way it is now, if I put this sleeve on my arm with this, like the provisional cast on right at my wrist, so right here, assuming that the ribbing then is going to go a bit over my hand, the rest comes like kind of here, which I think is like higher than when the raglan is going to be. So I think my sleeve is already a bit longer, so I didn't knit anymore. But we'll see. I'll just do that at the end. What also happened is that for whatever reason, so I'm making the second size, the size medium, which is what the pattern recommends for my like bust circumference. But I cast on the sleeve as if I'm doing the first size, so I didn't cast on enough stitches, so I didn't end up with enough stitches. And because I'm not very familiar with bottom-up constructions, I wasn't really sure how to fudge that or if it was a big deal or something. So I did a bit of witchery at the end and sort of like made a row where I increased more just to get to the number of stitches I'm supposed to have before attaching the body. So yeah, I don't think you can tell. I don't think it's a big deal, but I don't know. I know what I did and I made notes so I can do it again on the other sleeve, and yeah. But yeah, that's about all there is to say, I think. The pattern is a bit simple in the way that like it really doesn't hold your hand, which is not a big deal. Like I don't find it to be a problem, but there are some things that you have to make decisions yourself. And for example, in this case, for the increases, so it tells you like knit to whatever length and then do an increase and then do that so many times until you have so many stitches. But it doesn't tell you what increases, like what increase stitch to use. But I guess you can use whatever you want. So I decided to do make one right and make one left, but you could also do like knit front and back or whatever increase you want, honestly, especially because it has like so much more hair in it. It's pretty, it's not very visible. So yeah, that's the only thing. However, I had a look at the pattern because then you do, because it's a raglan construction, like you do decrease to do your raglan and then it tells you which decreases to use. So yeah. Yeah, it's just a bit of a simpler pattern in that way, but it's fine. It's not difficult. All right, I'm going to move on to my third work in progress, which I'd shown you last time as well. And it is my Hiedra headband, which I have absolutely no excuses for not having finished that, but I made a little bit of progress, I think, like about half. Maybe I'd done this much last time and now I have this. But yeah, I like it a lot. I'm just more excited about other things right now. And because I'm not wearing headbands at the moment, I'm just not really working on it. But to be honest, like it's probably a couple hours until this one is done. So I should just get it done. But yeah, I haven't. This is a pattern by Fiber Tales, by the way. I have made one before and I love it. And so I'm really excited to have this one as well. But obviously it's getting a bit too warm now for that that kind of item, so there's not as much of a rush. But yeah, it's beautiful yarn. I love the yarn so much. This is Kinross 4-ply. This is Kinross 4-ply. I don't know if I can show you the label. There you go. My dad gifted me this yarn a couple of years ago when we went to Glasgow School of Yarn. This is what it looks like. It's a fingering weight. The pattern calls for a DK, so I'm holding it double. But it's such a beautiful blue. It's called Scots Pine, the color. And I have enough yarn to finish the headband and also to make the matching mittens, which I intend to do. I think I will modify the mittens because on the mittens you have that that pattern like this, kind of like on the back of your hand. And then And then this side of your hand is garter stitch, which, I don't know, feels a bit weird to me to have this on a mitten, and I don't particularly like the look of that. So I think I'm just going to do it with stockinette. I'll just figure it out. I'll do like the pattern, the cable, and then do maybe like a few stitches of like a few purl stitches to make sure the cable stand out, like here. Because so if you know this pattern, here I have the first one that I made. So I don't know how to explain. Here I have like 2 columns of knit stitches, here and here. But then you take at the end you take these down, and then you like crochet them back up in a braid. So I think what I will do on the mittens, and I will do that, and then here's a bit of garter stitch on the headband, but I might do like a few purl stitches and then just do the rest in stockinette. Also because if you do garter stitch but you do them in a round, you have to do a lot of purling, and I don't want to do that. And then the thumb is also in stockinette on the pattern, so you have a thumb in stockinette and the rest is in garter, and I don't know. I don't like it very much. But I really enjoy this pattern a lot. It's really, really nice to knit. It's really easy. It's really quick, which is why I have no excuse as for why it's not done yet. But anyway, hopefully it will be done next time. It has to be done next time. I'm saying this now to hold me accountable. It will be done next time, at least the headband, maybe not the mittens, obviously, but at least the headband. And yeah, let me see if there's anything that I forgot to tell you. Not really. There's 2 sizes for the headband, a more narrow one and a wider one, and I'm just doing the wider one. It's 10 centimeters wide, but just because I like the look of it. That's it. Nothing more to say. And then last but not least, my last work in progress, which is not very exciting, but I'm going to show you because the yarn is nice. But this is basically what it looks like right now. This is a hat that I'm making for, I'm lowering my voice because my husband is next door, but I'm making for my husband for his birthday. And he doesn't know. And I'm going to make the Slouchy beanie by Inga of Knitting Traditions. I've made it before. It's a great fit. He has already one of that pattern in another yarn and he loves it. He wears it all the time. So I'm just going to do the same also because it's a super easy knit. And yeah, so I've barely cast it on because I was going somewhere a couple of weeks ago and I thought I would want to knit, and then I ended up not knitting a stitch, but it's fine. And this is the yarn. So this is yarn that I bought at Shetland Wool Week a year and a half ago. From a small producer in Shetland, and it's Shetland wool, and it's this beautiful like dark, almost like dark emerald green or like forest green DK yarn, which I really, really like. And I think it's a bit too cool tone for me, I think, but I think it would suit my husband really, really well. He likes those colors. He has like a bright like ginger beard, and I think that would suit him really well with this kind of color. And yeah, the pattern is written in for sport weight, I think, but this is DK, so I'm just using the same needles as I've used before, but I'm just going down one size just to make sure it fits and it's not too large. But you know, it's ribbing and it's a hat, and yeah, it's gonna fit anyway. So yeah, so that's my last whip, but there's not much to see, but it will probably be done or very close to being done by the next time I podcast, because his birthday is early June, so yeah, it needs to be done. So yeah, I'm just gonna take a sip of water and then I'm gonna move on to my finished objects. I'm also gonna ruffle things around because they're all over here and I need to bring them closer to me. So yeah, I'll be right back. All right, my finished objects. I lost track of things for a minute here. So my finished objects, like I said, those are all baby knits that I'm gifting to, I have 2 friends. One just had a baby like a couple of weeks ago, and one is expecting a baby in about a month. And so I've been making them little gifts. The first one I don't have with me anymore. I have gifted it and I will put a picture here, but I showed it in my last episode. It was a Selma Sleepsuit by Petite Knit. I had made it in the, what size? 0 to 3 month size, but I think my gauge was a bit off, and so it was a bit bigger, which is always better, I think, with baby things. And it's such a cute knit. It was really fun to knit. I really enjoyed it. It's all garter stitch. It's all knitted flat. There's a little bit of sewing at the end, or like seaming at the end, but I don't mind that at all. But yeah, it was really fun. It is, I will say, more knitting than it appeared, or then more knitting than you might think it is, because baby knits usually tend to be like so quick. But this is quite a bit more knitting. So just, it's enjoyable knitting, but just if you want to make one, just plan for enough time for it. And yes, so I think I went down in needle sizes because the yarn that I used is a bit thicker than what the pattern uses. But my gauge was all right. You don't need to make like a special swatch for this pattern, which is really nice because it starts with like you cast on kind of in like a square that goes on top of the head, and then you do the hood from there. So you can use that square as the gauge swatch actually, which is quite nice. And yeah, my stitch gauge was fine. My row gauge was a bit off, which seems to be like, it's always like that for me, it seems. But it was okay because the pattern tells you to measure to knit to a certain length as opposed to knit so many rows. So you can adjust that way. The yarn that I used is this one, Jameson's of Shetland Heather. This is the label. It is an Aran weight. And this is what the yarn looks like. I have a little bit left over. The color that I used is North Sea. And there's 2 numbers on here. If it will focus maybe. Yeah. And I don't know, one is the color, the number, and one is the dye lot, and I don't know which one is which, so yep. But yeah, it's beautiful, 100% Shetland wool. I just love it. I really love this wool. It was so nice to knit with as well. It's very squishy, and then the whole thing is in garter stitch, so it was even like squishier, and it softens so much with washing, and it's so warm, and yeah, I just love it. It is, I think the pattern calls for Snefnug by Camaros, and Snefnug has a bit more yardage, so I ended up needing to buy more yarn for mine. I think, let me see. I think I wrote that this yarn has 20 meters less per 50 grams than the Snefnug. And the pattern recommends for this size 0 to 3 months, 250 to 300 grams of yarn. And I ended up using almost 400 grams for mine, just because of the meterage difference. So just something to keep in mind. I think a few of you commented on my last video saying that they also ended up using more yarn than the pattern recommended. So just something to keep in mind with the yarn that you choose if you want to make that. If like either you order a bit more from the start, or you maybe pick a yarn that you know you can order more easily. But yeah, the yarn bloomed so nicely with washing as well. It was just like, it was a dream after being washed. It was so lovely. I really love it. I am going to make another one over the summer for my other friend. I'll make a size up, and then my sister is also pregnant, and so I'll make one for her for next winter, because she's having her baby at the end of August, but she lives in the south of France, so she won't need it until like deep winter, because it really doesn't get that cold over there. But yes, the one thing that I hadn't put on last episode was the buttons. Hopefully I have left the picture on the screen this whole time, but so the pattern uses just regular round buttons, which was my plan originally, but the ones that I had were maybe a bit too small, or anyway, they didn't really work in a way that I liked, so I opted to use little toggle buttons, which I think look really, really cute, and make sure that the thing stays closed nicely. And yeah, I think that's it. What else? Oh no, one last thing is that, like I said, you knit everything flat. So the body is knit flat, which is fine because you have buttons, so it makes sense. But the legs are knitted flat and the arms, like the sleeves are knitted flat, and then you seam them at the underarm and like the inside of the legs. And so I blocked it. I washed and blocked the garment before seaming because it's garter stitch, so it's gonna stretch. So and then when you seam, it's like mattress stitch, so it's just really one strand of yarn, so it's not gonna grow that way. So yeah, I think it's best for garter stitch especially to block your item first and then you seam once you have the proper length post blocking. So it doesn't, because if you seam it before and then the yarn that you used for the seam is like too short, then it's just going to like bunch up and arch and curl and it's not going to be good. So yeah, just a little thing to think about, but maybe block things before seaming them, just in case. But yeah, I gifted it to my friend. She was really, really happy with it. She's not a knitter, but she really appreciated it. And yeah, I haven't met the baby yet. I'm hoping to meet him in a couple of weeks. That's the plan right now. I don't know that he's worn it yet, probably not. But yeah, I'm very excited to meet the baby. I'm very happy for my friend. Everything seems to be going okay. And yeah, I'm very happy that I made something for her. So yeah. Anyway, moving on to another little knit things for my other friend who is expecting a baby soon. And I made her a little hat. First of all, this is the barley hat by Tin Can Knit, and I'd made one for the friend I gave this suit to in a grey yarn, but I showed it to you last time. So I made another one because they're quite nice. They don't use a lot of yarn and they're easy to make, and I think they're quite useful. So this is the barley hat again by Tin Can Knit, barley hat DK, and I think I made this in a size newborn maybe. It's one of those patterns that come with a bunch of different gauges and a bunch of different sizes, so you can do it with whatever yarn you have for whatever size you want, which was really nice. The only modification I made is that, I did that the last time as well, the barley hat has a section of garter stitch. That's part of the design, and I didn't do it. I just did like stuck in it in the round. And this is part of a set that I made along with this little jumper. So this is the Tavy Pullover by Avec Anna. It is a pattern that it is in one of her books that she published a while ago, and the book is in French and it's only available in French, and this pattern is only available in this book. So unfortunately, unless you have the book, you can't really get this pattern, but it's not very complicated. It's just a raglan sweater with some stripes. So I'm sure you can find like other patterns to replicate something like that. And so yeah, so this is the smallest size in the pattern, which is a size 3 month. And I don't think I did anything, made any modification. Oh no, I just made just one. So I think the book is also intended for beginner knitters, so some of the techniques are maybe the like easy, but maybe not the best one, but just the easiest one. In this case, it just said it's like a folded collar, and so it said that you would sew it down at the end, but I folded it and like knit it together with a cast on edge and kept going that way. It's really your basic raglan construction, like starting from the top and then all the way down and then the sleeves. So yeah, and so for both of these, they go together. I used, along Avec Anna's own yarn, I used the double merino. Let me see if I can grab it. I have just little bits left over. And so this is what the band looks like. Double merino, 100% superwash merino is a DK, 108 meters per 50 grams. And I have it in the shade Colombe, which means dove, which is her white. It's not like a white it's like creamy white, but it's her white in her color palette. And then châtaigne, which means chestnut, which is this nice like orangey color. So yeah, it was really fun. It was really easy, and I'm very pleased with that. I think that's all, like, even though she's one of my closest friends and I kind of want to knit everything for her baby, I think I'm going to hold off a little bit because she was given so many clothes from like other friends that she had that already had babies. I think she has enough clothes for a little while. So I will make a Selma sleepsuit like later on. But I think in terms of like day-to-day clothes, I think I'll just restrain myself a bit. But yeah, it's so cute. It's really soft too. And yeah, it's a super wash merino. Along Avec Anna always has a lot of, like, she has beautiful adult patterns, but she also has a lot of kids and baby patterns. And so when she came out with her yarn range, she made sure that the yarn that she had was one that could easily be used for baby things. So that was soft and easily washable. So yeah, but it is really soft. I really like it. The yarn I'd had, so I used for everything, I used 2 balls of the châtaigne and 1 ball of the white. And this is all I have left over. And all this yarn I got a couple of years ago in her advent calendar. So it was good for me as well because I used yarn from my stash. Yeah, so that was really great. And I think that's really all I have to say about this. It's really straightforward. It's quite nice. And yeah, again, like, because it's Scotland, like, it's probably going to be worn over the summer anyway. So yeah, I'm seeing her tonight, so I'm planning to give this to her tonight. And along with that, I have sewn a few things for her as well, which I will show you. I don't really show a lot of sewing just because, if I'm really honest, my sewing mojo is just like, just hasn't been there for a few months. Especially because I was sewing garments for myself, which is like more complicated, like not difficult, but like complicated fiddly constructions. And sewing is just faff. Like, you have to get all your stuff out, like your ironing board and your sewing machine and all that stuff. And so sometimes I'm just not really motivated, but making baby stuff is a lot of fun. So I made a couple more things. Let me grab them. So she had mentioned that she was looking for those sort of little like baby sleeping bags. I don't know what they're called in English, but they look like this. Can I show? Yeah. This is what they look like. And they've got a zip. And then you put the baby in it and they sleep, I guess. So yeah, she mentioned that she wanted to get some of these, but she didn't have any, so I said I was going to make her some. So I made a couple. Well, I said I was going to make her one, but I ended up making 2 because, you know, it's good for rotation, like laundry rotation, because of babies producing a lot of fluids all the time. And so I made 2. I love this fabric so much. This is so cute. Baby fabric is so cute. I love it. And this is the other one. This is a fabric, like a Beatrix Potter fabric, which is really sweet as well. And then the inside is lined with just some like cotton gauze. Like, everything is cotton, and then sandwiched in between there's some wadding like you would use for a quilt. That is also cotton, I think, with a little bit of polyester, but it makes it nice and squishy. And I got the pattern for this from a book that I have, which is also a book in French. I tend to sew, like, all of my knitting is basically done in English, like pretty much exclusively. Because I learned to knit in English, but I sew in French because I learned in French. For some reason, it's kind of funny. So this is the book. It means like timeless pieces for babies or something. And this is the pattern. Let me see if I can show you, but the instructions are literally on the next page. So how can I do that? Maybe if I do something like this. So this is the pattern, which is literally what I just showed you. So yeah, but I'm sure you can find, like, it's not very complicated. I'm sure you can find like patterns for that in English or in whatever language you like to use. But yeah, so I've made 2. They're really cute. And yeah, I'm going to give them to my friend today. I see her later tonight. And I need to remember to take some pictures. So that is part of the gift along with the sweaters. Or like the sweater and the hat. And then the last thing that I did for her is one of those baby bath towels for babies that have the like a hood, you know, it's just a square and it has a hood, so it's quite big. It's probably blowing up massively as well because the towel is white. And then on the other side I found this cute little fabric with like seaside birds. So this is massive. I did follow a pattern, or like I looked online for sizes. And that's the size that I was recommended. You can probably fit like 3 newborns in that. But I guess as the baby grows, like I was trying to remember, obviously like I had one, I think, when I was a baby, but obviously I don't remember. But my sister's much younger, or like is quite a bit younger than me. So I remember her and I think she had one of those and she used it until she was like 3 or 4 years old. So, you know, like it's a towel, like towels last quite a while. So yeah, so the fabric, the cotton fabric, the printed fabric is cotton, 100% cotton. And then the towel fabric inside is a blend of cotton and bamboo. It's incredibly soft. Like, I kind of want something like that, you know? It's so soft. And yeah, and it's very, I don't know how I can show you. It's basically like you do a square and then you do a triangle and you sew the triangle on the end of on one end of the square, and that's that. It makes a hood. So yeah, so that is the last thing that is included in, well, almost the last thing that is included in this gift for my friend, because then either I made a mistake when I ordered the fabric or the shop made a mistake when they sent it to me. I don't know, but I ended up with a weird amount of fabric and I had quite a bit left over. So with the leftover fabrics that I had, I made a little pack of reusable wipes. It's the same. It's just like, it's squares of towel fabric on one side and like printed cotton on the other side. They're all like slightly different sizes because I was trying to optimize the use of the fabric that I had, just because I didn't really want to have leftovers. So I think there's about like 20 or something in there. And yeah, because like I don't think they're going to do like reusable, washable everything because it just doesn't seem practical. But I'm sure they're going to have like disposable wipes as well. But I don't know. I think you can't have too many wipes when you have a baby. So yes, so this is all I made. These are all my finished object. It's quite a nice gift actually. I hope she likes it and I hope she uses it. And then I have this little card, so I'm going to include this cute little card, and inside I wrote like just care instructions and what things are made of, so just to make it easy for them to, I don't know, do their laundry and that kind of stuff. So yes, that was a lot of talking. I think we're about an hour in, and yeah. Anyway, that is all my finished objects that I have this time. Next time I'm hoping to have my headband as a finished object and the hat from my husband at least, and possibly my Evina cardigan. We'll see. Or maybe like close to finishing my Evina cardigan. And then, yeah, we'll see how it goes. Right, I will now move on to my acquisitions. I don't have a ton, but I have a little bit that I would like to show you. So, like I said earlier, I went, in between the last episode and this episode, I went to the Woolly Good Gathering, which is a wool festival in Edinburgh. It's the second year this year, it happens in April, and it was wonderful. It was exhausting. So much socializing, it was exhausting, but it was absolutely wonderful. I absolutely love this festival. The vendors are so nice and so like sort of well curated, so there's a little bit of everything for everyone. And then it's just also a really big social event. There's lots of talks and workshops, and it's organized in a way that there's plenty of spaces to sit and relax and chat, and quite a few people travel from abroad for it, which was wonderful because I got to catch up with so many friends, like including like Eula from Wool and Twine. Like we've become really good friends, and it's been wonderful like chatting with her. And then I went with my friend Rebecca from Journeys Through Yarn, and then my friend Adriana, who came from Norway, and we just had the most wonderful time. Like I absolutely loved it, and I can't wait for next year's already. And I did buy some yarn, even though I absolutely do not need any more yarn. I'm actually getting a bit overwhelmed with the amount of yarn that I have, but I couldn't resist. And there were some people that I didn't know, or like some yarn producers and dyers that I didn't know, and so I wanted to try out their yarn, and then some that I loved and I wanted to buy some more yarn. So yeah, so this is what I have. So I'm going to show it to you. So first of all is this yarn. This is sock yarn. I have used this before in DK, and this is the fingering weight version of what I had before. It's from Annfield Farm, which is a farm located in Fife, which is not very far. It's a mohair farm primarily. They have lots of mohair goats, and if you follow them on Instagram at Annfield Farm, you can see all the pictures of their cute goats and with their curly hair. It's super cute. I would definitely recommend you have a look. And it is sock yarn. It is made of 70% mohair and 30% Shetland. I have used it before. Like I said, in DK, I have made myself a pair of socks, and they're the warmest socks that I own. Like, by far, they're so warm, and I love them so much. They're also incredibly soft. And so my mom had asked me if I could make her some more pair of socks, and she has a pair that I made her a while ago, which she really, really loves, and it's a silk and merino blend. But I'm struggling to find that blend. Maybe it's just not popular anymore, or I see it with yak in addition to silk and merino, but I have heard, I know some people for whom like yak hasn't really worn well at all in socks. Like it felt really quickly and it felt kind of brown, which is not great. So yeah, I couldn't really find that merino silk blend at the festival, but I thought I would make her one of these because it's mohair and it's also very, very soft. So yeah, and it's the natural white color, like it's undyed. So yeah, so that's that. So I bought that because I knew I was looking for something like that. And then I bought these two skeins from Black Isle Yarn, which is like a dyer in Scotland, like natural dye. And I think she gets the wool from like her sheep and like sheep like surrounding where she's like neighbor sheeps or something like that. And her name is Julie, and I really, really love her yarn. And so I got two skeins of this really, really nice dark blue yarn. It's actually indigo, I think. Yeah, indigo dyed onto like a dark gray base. So it has a little bit of a heathered effect. It's absolutely stunning. And the fiber is 50% Gotland-ish, which she says, because it's like crossbred Gotland, Shetland, and Charolais, and then 50% alpaca. It's a DK weight, 225 meters per 100 grams. And I bought this to make a set. I think it's called the Severn or Severn Side or something. I'll put it on the screen. It's a free pattern of a hat, cabled hat and matching mittens by, I should have researched that before, Annabelle Williams, I think. I will put it on the screen. And yeah, so that's my plan for this. Because it's indigo, I'm going to be mindful when I wash it. I'm also expecting to have a little bit of blue on my fingers when I knit with it, but that's absolutely normal. I've worked with indigo before, or sometimes like the dark purple or dark red yarns do that, and it's fine. It's just the way it works. But you know, like once you've soaked it and washed it, it's fine. It's not going to like bleed on my forehead or anything like that. And so yeah, so I'm excited to work with that. It's quite soft as well. I mean, it is rustic, but to me, it's soft enough. But yeah, it's not like merino soft. So just FYI. And then the last bit that I bought is those 3 balls from the Birlinn Yarn Company from Seafaring Sheep. They are based in the Hebrides, in Scotland as well, in the Outer Hebrides. And it is a blend of Hebridean and Cheviot wool. It is a fingering weight, about 150 meters per 50 grams. So yeah, maybe more like sportish, but that's fine. And yeah, so I got 2 of this color, which is, what color is that? Oats, yeah. So 2 oats, and then 1 field poppy. And yeah, I love this red. It's such a beautiful red. It's like dark. Oh, there's fluff in it. It's like dark, but it's not like too orange or too blue. It's just like a perfect red to me. And I don't know what I'm gonna make with this. So yeah. If you have any idea, let me know. They could be together as like a 2 color patterns, or even like standing color work, or they can just be 2 different projects. Each ball is 50 grams, so I have 50 grams of the red and then 100 grams of the oat. But yeah, it's really nice. It's also quite soft, obviously rustic, non-superwash and all that, but to me quite soft. So yeah, I'm also looking forward to working with that when I figure out what I want to make with the yarn. So all right, that is all my acquisitions, and hopefully that's all my acquisitions for a little while, because I have so much yarn, like I said before, and I really want to work through it. I don't really plan on buying yarn. Well, I plan if I need yarn for a very specific project that I don't have the yarn, like mostly gifts, I would say, because for me, I'm trying to use my starch yarn, but for gifts, I might need to order other stuff. But otherwise, yeah, and I don't really plan on going to any festivals until the autumn at this point. I will be going to Dublin Fibre Festival, I think that's what it's called, in Dublin in October. That will be really fun. It will be like it's a good excuse to have a weekend away in Dublin. I really like Dublin. I used to live there, and it's really nice. It's a place that I really like. So I'm looking forward to that. And then depending on how the dates work, I might go to Glasgow School of Yarn, but it's also in October, and I fear that it might be on the same weekend, so I need to have a look. But yeah, other than that, I'm not really planning to go to other festivals this year, and festivals tend to be where I buy yarn mostly, or like buy yarn that I don't have a project in mind. So yeah, so that'll give me plenty of time and opportunity to use my stash, which is what I want. Yeah. All right, and before I let you go, I'm gonna, like every podcast episode, I'm just gonna have a quick word about the books that I have been reading since the last time. So I've read a couple of books since the last time. The first one is, and I'll put pictures of the cover on the screen. The first one is the 10th and last book in the Dale's Detective series. If you're new here, I read a lot of cozy murder mysteries. I absolutely love it. It sounds like a lot of you love it as well. And you have recommended so many good books in the past, and please keep the recommendations coming, because I enjoy reading them, and I think a lot of people also enjoy reading other people's comments for book recommendations. So yeah. So I read the 10th and last book in the Dale's Detective series by Julia Chapman. It was called Date with Destiny. It is a cozy murder mystery, and it's such a good one. And it was announced that the 10th was going to be the last one. That's how she planned it, and it was really good. And I think even though I'm sad that it was the last one and that there's not going to be any more to read, it was a really good place to end, and she did a wonderful job. So yeah, I would highly, highly recommend this series. It's set in the Yorkshire Dales in northern England, and in like a small village, and there's all kinds of crime. So yeah, it's really, really fun. And then I also read the newest book by Beth O'Leary called Swept Away. So that's more romance. That's definitely not a cozy murder mystery. But it's a nice, like, sweet romance. It's not like a smutty romance. Not that, like, there's nothing wrong with those, but they're just not really my jam. But yeah, so it's called Swept Away, and I really like, actually, Beth O'Leary. I don't really read a lot of romance, but I will read hers, and I have since she released The Flat Share, which was the first one. I think they made, I know they made a TV adaptation on Paramount, which is actually really good, of The Flat Share, so maybe you've heard of that. And that Swept Away, the last one, was also quite a lovely book. It's like the story of, like, a man and a woman, and they meet in a bar and decide to go back to a house, like one of, like, their houseboat for kind of like a one-night stand. But then in the night there's a storm, and they end up being swept away at sea in, like, a tiny boat that is definitely not made for the North Sea. And so yeah, that's the premise, and I really enjoyed it because so they are swept away at sea, and then stuff happens, and then you reach what you think is the end, but then there was like 100 pages left in the book, or like 100 for me because I read it on my e-reader, so the pages are not like the same size as those of like an actual book. But and I was like, what else is there to happen now, you know? And so there was this really nice twist, and I really enjoyed it. And I read that, and I would recommend it. The other romance author that I read is, what's her name? Emily. Oh, hold on. Right, it is. Sorry, I had to Google it because I had the first name, but I couldn't get. It's Emily Henry. And she just released she also releases a book every spring, April-ish or so, and hers just came out, so I'm going to read that next. But those are really, I think, the only two romance authors that I read regularly whenever they release a new book. But anyway, what I am reading right now, and what I will finish before reading the new Emily Henry, is this. I think I showed it in the last episode as well. It is a collection of short stories by Agatha Christie, obviously, like, cozy murder mystery, because that's what she does. And I just have just this last bit here to read. So I was reading this before. I think I was already reading this in my last episode, but because it's short stories, I have taken breaks to read other things in between. But it's been quite nice. I'm really enjoying it, and it's part of a like a box set called Murder for All Seasons, and so that's the spring. So I really want to finish this one like now, or like in May, so that then I can move on to the summer one, called Midsummer Mysteries. And yeah, it's a really nice, and then you have like the autumn and the winter one as well. And yeah, it's a really beautiful box set. I really like it. Sorry for the noise. And I bought it last year, or like last November. I went to York, and in York they have this bookshop called Criminally Good Books, and they only do murder mysteries, and it was brilliant, and I thought that was a wonderful souvenir to bring back from York. So yeah, that is what I'm reading right now. Please go ahead and leave your book recommendations in the description box, or not the description box, in the comments below. That would be wonderful. I have also finally sorted out my library, like local library membership, so I can now use Libby and get audiobooks on that, because I do listen to audiobooks while I work. So yeah, please like leave your book recommendations, and then that will give me ideas of things to listen to and things to read, because I feel like I go like, because I listen to books while I work, I go through audiobooks in like a couple of days, and so I'm always looking for new books to read or to listen to. So yeah, I thank you in advance for your recommendations. And that is the end of the episode. Thank you if you're still here. It's quite a long one again, but I think you guys enjoy long episodes. If you are not subscribed to the channel yet, then please hit the subscribe button. It's completely free, but it means that whenever I publish a new episode, it will show up in your feed. And it also tells YouTube that my videos are nice and that YouTube should recommend it to other people. So it helps just share the videos with other people in a way. So yes, thank you for subscribing, or give it a like or leave a comment. And that's it. I will see you in the next episode in about a month or so, I think. Yeah, happy knitting and see you next time. Bye-bye.